I'm charging like $15 an hour and all proud and excited. And then I get these invoices coming through and I'd see what they would charge. And I would divide that amount by like my hours and go, they're charging me at $80 an hour.
Wow.
And I'm doing all the work.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't how this is supposed to go.
You're listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with your host, Michael Palmer. Listen each week as inspiring guests share their secrets of success to help you increase your confidence, work smarter, and build a business you love. This episode of The Successful Bookkeeper is brought to you by PureBookkeeping.com, the proven system to grow your bookkeeping business.
Welcome back to the Successful Bookkeeper podcast. I'm your host, Michael Palmer, and today's show is going to be a fun one. Our guest is the president of the CFO Boutique, Lou Clarke. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. This is going to be fun.
Absolutely. And, I've heard about you, and Lisa talks about you often, Lisa Campbell, and, your website's very beyond this world, big, and so I was like looking forward to meeting you because it's just, you've got so much to share with us, I'm sure, today.
Absolutely.
And I'm excited. That's why I said it was going to be fun, because I always look forward to interesting stories. And before we even got started, I could tell this was going to be one of those podcasts. So I'm giving it all away, of course. Let's get into learning about you. Where did it all start? How did you end up doing what you're doing today?
Oh, goodness. Okay. So I'm third generation something finance. My grandmother was an accountant / bookkeeper. My parent was a bookkeeper / accountant. So you go into high school and you're like, what do you want to be? You're 15 years old. You're sitting in grade 10. We do it to our kids now. Okay, It's time to choose grade 10. What are you going to be? And I was like, I don't know. I'm good at math. It runs through my veins. Let's go into bookkeeping. And that's literally how I started. And my parent at the time, they worked at an accounting firm. And so they were saying, why don't you come in and run tax season with us? So at 15 years old, I first came into my first tax season, and my job was to file and photocopy paperwork. And I did that on Saturdays and Sundays. That was my job. Just people gave me files, I photocopied stuff, and then I filed the paperwork away. And then the next year they brought me in and they taught me how to do basic tax returns. And so that's kind of where the love of all of this happened, was very like, what's going on? What's this side of this world that nobody likes? Nobody's really interested in, and nobody talks about. I'm like, I want to know more about this. So I ended up taking a lot of accounting and business math through high school. And then I got my bookkeeping degree right after high school. And I opened up my own bookkeeping business through the firm that I was doing taxes at. So I didn't realize for like the 4 years I was helping them with taxes, they were actually priming me to be like, okay, so now you're a bookkeeper, here's all these files. So I literally, in a interesting way, had my business kind of put in my lap. I don't think it's a great idea. And I also couldn't control my fees because I was working for the accountant. So we know how it works, right? The bookkeeper gets paid X, the accountant charges the client Y. Yes. And so after a couple of years, I started watching what these accountants were charging for the bookkeeping that I was doing. And they were charging me
you'd see the invoices.
Yeah. And I was charging $15 an hour. This is like 2000, right. The year 2000, okay? Like 99, 2000. I'm charging like $15 an hour and all proud and excited. And then I get these invoices coming through and I'd see what they would charge. And I would divide that amount by like my hours and go, they're charging me at $80 an hour.
Wow.
And I'm doing all the work.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't how this is supposed to go. And so I stayed there, like doing the clients they handed to me. But at the same time, when they'd say, we want to give you a new client, I'm like, I want to work the client directly. And they were like, oh, good, that's totally fine. And then I started building out my business through, gosh, this is so long ago, newspaper, putting the ads in the newspaper.
Wow.
Are you looking for a bookkeeper? Because that's what we did back then. There wasn't Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn. And so up until 2002, I built it very strong. And then I had my first child, my first son in 2002. And then the cool part was my husband worked at a factory where he built airplanes. Because I was self-employed, we didn't have an option for maternity leave. So my husband took the paternal leave. And so he came home. And I remember like there was this one element while he was home helping with the family. I was like, you came to school with me and got the bookkeeping degree. Do you want to do some bookkeeping while you're home? Like give you something to do kind of thing. We'll put it through the business. And he jumped in a little bit. And then it just started to grow from there and grow from there. And it just kept growing. And then my husband left his job and came home and joined the bookkeeping firm with me. And it was the two of us rolling with it. And then I got this big time client in the medical professional field. And they wanted me to operate 5 of like their bookkeeping for 5 and then 6 and then 7 of their clinics. And I was enamored because it was like a full-time job with excellent pay, but on my own terms. And I loved the person that I was under. That was my lead. I loved them very much. And we had a great relationship. And I remember I got paid $900 a week. This is back in like 2003, 2004. It was $900 a week. And I was like in heaven. My husband took over all the other accounts and I just worked on this one. And then we got pregnant with baby number 3. I know I skipped baby number 2, but we got pregnant with baby number 3. And we were like, we need a bigger home. And we need to be closer to our main client's main building because I was driving. Though I'm not in Toronto, our traffic in my city in London here is still crazy. So like just driving across town, like it would take me 45 minutes to an hour to get there and then to get back. And we wanted to live on the west side of the city anyways. So with the money that was coming in, a 3rd baby on the way, we were very secure financially. We didn't have much left over, but we were paying our bills and putting a little into savings. But we decided to level up and buy a larger home on the west side. 3 months after that, this client of mine that was paying me about $3,600 per se a month, which at the time, this new mortgage was like $600, just to kind of give you perspective. Like it wasn't like this house was huge.
Let's go back in a time machine and get back to those kind of mortgage payments.
Right? $600 a month. It was a $270,000 home. I think it was about 3,000 square feet, like just to kind of put it in perspective. Now it's going for like 800. So it's gone up in value.
That's right.
But we were all excited and it was going well. And then I was asked to meet with the owner of the company to go over accounts payable. Nothing out of the ordinary, like just we're going to sit down, pay this, don't pay this, pay this, don't pay this, whatever. I was like, okay. And they called me in and I was ready to go through accounts payable. And they actually sat me down and said, we hear you're expecting your 3rd child. And I said, I am really excited. They're like, well, that doesn't work for us. So you're fired.
Wow.
And I lost 80% of our income that day.
Wow.
And at that point, I came home literally broken. I didn't know what to do. It's 3 months after we bought the home. Like I moved across the city kind of for them is what the thing was. It was beyond my control. There wasn't anything I could truly do about it. And it just all financially spiraled from there. We were not making enough to cover our bills to the point we became maxed out our credit cards, maxed out all of our line of credits. We literally I hate remembering it, but it's such an important story. We literally were on our way to an appointment one morning. The 2 boys, my husband and I, just like a family event. And we stopped at Tim Hortons. So if you're Canadian, you know Tim Hortons is on every freaking corner in this country, it seems like. And my husband's like, okay, well, we're going to get them breakfast because we were running late. And I said, well, all the cards are maxed. There's no money in the bank. Like, what change do you have? And he remembers going in his pocket or in his, it was his pocket, his little change thing in the car. And he had a loonie and a toonie. So a $1 coin and a $2 coin. He's like, this is all we got. And we just broke. And we were like, how are we bookkeepers? And yet this happened. And I remember getting like a muffin and a juice for my 2 boys to split. And I just remember getting back in the car and we just cried. And it was this point of like, well, we got nothing to lose. Let's go get more education. Let's make ourselves knowledgeable. Let's really figure out how money works. Let's just take this to a level we've never known before. And so we did. And we just went. I can't explain it any more than like we went hard. I would work 40 hours a week in the bookkeeping firm, and then I'd work 30 hours a week on a different business, because at that point I was like, other women need to know how to build a strong business, not to put all their eggs in one basket. So I joined an organization in Canada for women entrepreneurs, which no longer exists, but it gave me the opportunity to really invest in women and help them grow really amazing businesses and be in this space of, you don't have to depend on one client for everything, and like, don't put all your eggs in one basket, and let's learn about money. And so from that space, I would work the firm like 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., like an average person. And then Sunday night to Thursday night from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m., I'd work my other business. It meant that much to me. Like, I did not want to ever see anybody go through what my husband and I went through. And it was my fault. I'm not going to put it on the client. They made the right choice for them. We weren't prepared. And so in that element, we dug our heels in. We went all in on our business. We increased our rates significantly. And then from there, we hit $1 million net worth in 2017. So it took us about 11 years to go from $3 from bankruptcy to $1 million net worth. And the firm was still going strong. We ended up a couple years ago, we got in touch with Lisa Campbell, who taught me, you don't have to do paperwork anymore, Lou. Like, why do you have all these people dropping papers at your house? And I was like, well, how else would you do it? And she introduced me to this whole new digital world of bookkeeping, which accelerated our business so quickly, because now we were doing books for people across Canada. We were doing books for business clients I have in the US. People come to me knowing that I am the go-to person in this area of finance for the niches that I support and work in. And it literally erupted to the point where my 20-year-old son, the one I did not mention having, William, he got out of high school and we're like, what are you going to do? And he's like, I don't know what I want to do yet. I go, you want to come work for us? And he's like, okay. So I literally taught him everything. It's like, you don't need to go and get a bookkeeping degree. You've got the walking bookkeeping degree right here. And so I taught him everything he needed to know. And now he's in the firm. He's been working for full-time for us for 3 years.
Wow.
William then came to us in August of 2024 and said, so I have news. And I was like, I knew this was coming. He's like, I want to go to school. I said, okay, well, what do you want to do? He goes, I want to be a fireman. I want to be a firefighter. And it suits him so perfectly. Like, of course you do. Of course you do, William. And so he's like, I don't want to go in this year. I want to wait till 2025. So he's already been accepted to the college. He will be moving in August. And I'm like, what are we going to do? Like, I'm so happy for you. But as a business owner, like, what are we going to do? Because I started asking my other kids, do you want to come work for us? And they're like, no, no, no. So at that point, I looked at my husband and I said, listen, I have got the CFO work that we do for our CFO clients. We've got these profit first clients. I have business mentorship clients. And then we have the bookkeeping. And I said, I feel like we're only holding on to the bookkeeping firm for William because I don't really need it. And I love my clients. They've been here for 20 years. How many people out here listening to this podcast have had clients for 10, 15, 20 years? They're family. Like, you don't even want to raise your rates with them because they're family, right? And so in the beautiful scheme of everything, at the time of the recording in this podcast, we are selling, let me say it this way, because not everybody moved. We have removed 90% of our clients from the bookkeeping firm, and we actually have sold most of those to a buyer who is someone I actually mentored. She came to me and said, Lou, been in the industry for 19 years. I want to start my own business. I'm tired of working for a firm. And I was like, I'll teach you everything you need to know. And then one day it just clicked and I went, do you want to buy my company? And she's like, yes. So that's what we're doing right now. So understanding bookkeeping was amazing for us for 30 years, not 13, 30 years. We still have bookkeeping clients, but in order to be a bookkeeping client of the CFO boutique, you need to be a CFO client or a profit first client. And so we've gone through a lot of transitions, but in a 5-10 minute nutshell, that is the journey that I have been on.
Wow. Wow,
Yeah,
that is a big journey.
it's a lot. It's a
It's a
lot, but I
lot.
feel like we're just getting started, right? I just feel like this is still the first inning of an incredible ball game. It feels like we're just getting started.
So I'd love to hear some of the, there's a lot there, and we've gone from, we're talking 30 years here of
Yeah.
experience and highs and lows. Let's maybe talk a little bit about, for those bookkeepers that finding clients like you,
Okay.
you had kind of an instant entry into a business because you had essentially a big referral partner saying, hey,
Yeah.
here's the clients. And at first it was, they were dictating the price but they were clients. Did you
Correct.
find after that, how did you find your clients? What was some of the ways you grew the business?
Referrals. Everything I did was referrals. People would just keep referring me, even like, hey, we're doing a networking event. So and so is here. They're are going to be there. They want to meet you. Come out. So then I started doing networking events. Networking a lot in my city was a big piece,
Hmm.
but I always signed a client. Like my signing percentage, 1 out of 100 maybe like didn't sign. And that's the other thing. I took on way too many clients really, really fast. And like
Mm-hmm.
that's it, that was a lot because we just want to say yes to everybody and yes to the money and yes to serving. I just kept saying yes because I just wanted to, I have a heart of help, right? And I just wanted to help
Mm-hmm.
people. I would definitely say referral. And if someone's like, well, I need clients, get in with the accounting firms. Connect with them. If the accounting firm is local, take the accountant for lunch. Ask if you can have a meeting with them. Say, I'll treat you. Like, let's go for breakfast. My treat. You can easily and quickly grow a business if you can get the referrals. And so, even for me, yes, I had an in with an accounting firm, but I did this with all accounting firms. So as soon as I had a new client come on board and I got to know their accountant, I would then message the accountant and be like, I know you have a busy schedule. And usually I would do it like after tax season because they all want to chill after tax season. So I'm like, listen, after tax season, I'd love to take you for lunch. My treat. I just want to get to know you. And they're like, yeah, we're in. And we just created a relationship. To
Mm-hmm.
me, bookkeeping is numbers and it's finance, but it's more relationship driven. Like as I
Mm-hmm.
was having these conversations on Zoom with the new bookkeeper, the new buyer, and my client and I are sitting there bawling our eyes out. Even though I'm really excited and they're happy for me, but I'm like, it's been 20 years. Like we're so
Mm-hmm.
sad because here's the thing. There are businesses out there that just want someone to process their stuff at the end of the year and file a tax. They don't really care. Right. We all got clients like that who don't really care about it. It's just something that legally has to be done. So they do it. But there are those clients who want to build a relationship. There are those clients who want to know that you've got their back. And so referral is the easiest way to build the clientele. Moving into the newer, like the 2010s and into 2020, we built a lot through social media. But again, it's referrals. It's when someone messages me on email or text is like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy with my numbers. This is amazing. I would screenshot that, put it on my social and be like, another happy customer. And I would
Wow.
start to share all of my clients' wins and testimonies. And people are like, oh my God, I want that. Oh my God, I want that. And so if I was mentoring a bookkeeper right now, I would be like, I want you to create conversations with your current clients that have them responding in ways that tell you how amazing you are and the job you do and the ease that they have. It's the whole I can now sleep at night conversation. See that in
Mm-hmm.
a message or an email. Let's screenshot it. Let's put it on your socials, obviously anonymously, and just let your testimony speak for yourself. Because as
Mm.
bookkeepers, we don't want to speak for ourselves.
That's
I'm in
right.
rooms with bookkeepers all the time. No one wants to toot their own horn. That's why you're not growing. You got to start tooting that horn because that's the way it goes out. So I was talking to someone this morning about profit first stuff. And she's like, well, can you tell me more about what you do? And I left her like a 45-second voice note on an Instagram DM. And she wrote back, she goes, you're a powerhouse. I wrote back, I know. Not, oh, thank you. Or you're so kind. I know I am. Like, yes, I own that. I own I'm good at what I do. And you know what's really cool is when you have the courage to become confident with your clients, with your social media, with your referrals, with your marketing, you actually can then charge more because it's your confidence that your pricing like structure, what it's lacking is your confidence and your courage. Like, even at this point, if someone wants to come in for profit first and they want us to do their bookkeeping, I don't look at anything less than $750 a month. I don't care if you've got 10 transactions on a statement because you're not getting the processing, you're getting my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so there's that element of like, I remember charging $15 an hour. And now if someone wants me to do an intensive with them, it's $1,500 an hour. And yes, I'm getting those fees. And yes, since I implemented doing taking my business all digital, the bookkeeping firm all digital, and really implementing being a certified profit first professional, I've tripled my income. We were doing, what year are we in? We're in 2020. Okay, so 2024, we did about 710,000. 2023, we did 730. 2022, we did 427. 2021, we did just over 300. And from 2010 to 2020, I did like 200K.
Right. Wow.
The change was my confidence in knowing what I deliver, and I sell results. I don't sell the processing.
Beautiful.
So I sell, this is really good. It's because I sell relaxation. I sell sleep. I sell that I'm your insurance policy. That's what I do for my clients. It's not about processing the books. It's about what do they get from working with me to process their books. That's how you can obtain higher level clients that pay more money.
That's lovely.
Mm-hmm.
You were saying your close rate.
Mm-hmm.
You close clients and you get a referral and they become there was like a high rate, and you say a little bit more about that. I think that's a big opportunity for so many. I hear it all the time. It's kind of like they treat them as someone in a grand bazaar where it's like, oh, they're just walking through the grand bazaar and looking at different tables and hopefully they buy. Right?
Yeah.
I would make an assumption here that you're not like that. Tell us what it looks like with you.
I'll put it this way. If they're walking through the grand bazaar looking at tables, wondering who they should buy from, I'm the only person they're going to see because of how I show up. Like, if for those watching the audio, I mean, Michael, you can see my office. It's Beverly Hills Hotel inspired. I have Beverly Hills wallpaper. I have a pink couch. I have a pink room. I'm wearing green velvet. Like, I am very loud. I make sure that my presence is known in a room 100%. And if there's a stage, I will get on it. I will make every effort to be able to get on a stage of a room I'm in, even if it's like being in the front of the house. Like, you're like in a networking piece and people stand up and go, hi, I'm Lou Clarke. I own a bookkeeping firm. I help you know your numbers so you can grow your numbers. I don't stand up at my chair. I go to the front of the room. Like, I make an effort to put myself in the spaces where people will remember me. Right. And I was even talking to someone this morning and she's like, just so you know, you pronounced my name wrong. It's this, not that. And I wrote back, I said, I am so grateful that you're telling me this. I said, because English isn't my first language, numbers are. And so like, I always mess up people's names. And she was like, oh my God, that's the best thing ever.
I love that.
Like, that's
Never
memory,
heard that before.
right? Yeah. Like, it's memory. And I've always said that English is my second language because I speak numbers first. Give me numbers. I'll do that all day. Right. And all I want to talk about is money and numbers. But why I have a close rate, it's because of who I am, not because of what I do. It's because of who I am and the results I give. So my close rate is because I sell the results. I don't say, okay, so we're going to do your books every single week and I'm going to process this and you're going to give me this. And at the end, we're going to have these numbers and so you can file your taxes. I'm like, do you want to sleep at night? Like, do you want to put your head on the pillow and actually go to sleep and not think about your numbers, not think about your money? Would you like to know that like someone's financially got your back from your financial foundation? And if there's any issues, they're going to knock on the door and let you know. So that when the brown envelope comes to the house in Canada, here they're brown, you're not panicking. Like, I have clients who are like, I need to get on a Zoom call with you right now. I'm like, are you okay? The envelope showed up. And I'm like, all right, let's get on a call. And I'll be on a call with them just like this. They're like, I can't open this. I'm so nervous. I go, I said, Whatever's in that envelope is not going to bite you. It's not going to lock you out of your house. It's not freezing your accounts. Like, you're making this mean something it doesn't mean. And I remember the one client, she opened it. She's like, oh my God, it's a check. And I'm like, see, all of that feeling and all that stuff for no reason. If you don't want to feel that anymore, you come work with me. Right. And it's
Lovely.
like, even that, like, you don't ever have to talk to the government again. I got your back. Okay, I'm in. Where do I sign? I don't ever talk about the process of the bookkeeping. I deal that onboarding. So when I'm talking to people about working with me, I'm selling them the results.
And these are not, there's a lot of results that are really highly achievable for clients, but yet are rarely talked about, or, getting sleep. You don't have to talk to government. You're going to know more about all those things, right? Really achievable. And yet many people likely don't mention those things, and 80% focus on, we're going to do all the bits and the bobs, and they're going to go in and show how the machine is made, right? And it's like they could care less, and so they get lost. Were you always like this with your, the way of being, and I would call it like a gregarious person? Is that a superpower of yours? Was it something you developed over time?
Definitely developed. I would say at 28 years old, I was a hermit. I didn't want to leave the house. I didn't like crowds. Like me going to the CNE to go to the X, I couldn't handle that. Where we were talking before here in London, we have this thing called the Western Fair. I was good at the Western Fair unless it rained and then everybody was like running into a building. I could not handle that. I'd have panic attacks. It wasn't until I had my first business coach and I had to get confident in who I am. And I had to realize who I was did not match the dreams I had. And so I had to rise. And I still am rising. Like, even now, I have a completely different mentor. I've had her for now, we're going on 5 years. And the conversation we've had for the month of January is capacity, energetic capacity to hold more of what you're going through, what your clients are going through, going to the next step, becoming even a stronger person, and self-trust. Most people in business that are not going to the level they want of success is because they don't trust themselves in doing it. And they are not who they need to be in order to get to that next level. If someone would have told me in 2008, I had to think about the time and framing here. Oh my gosh. If someone actually told me in 2008, like, Lou, you would be a keynote speaker at some of the biggest women's conferences in North America, you'd be doing multiple podcasts, you would have your own broadcast, you'd be doing this, I'd be like, you guys are all freaking crazy. Like, let me just stay at home in my pajamas and work my bookkeeping business and hide behind the computer. My office was white, okay? It was not pink and green. So what I realized was I had a lot of big visions. I still have, like, people asked me yesterday, what are your vision for what you want to do? I'm like, it's so big. It's like world changing, global changing. But in order for me to do the things I want to do, I have to become the person who can hold that. So how did I start? I actually started going to, like, the advice of my coach at the time, go to a networking event. Instead of standing up at your chair, go to the front of the room. Like, you have to have courage to build confidence. Courage comes first. So you need to be seen as the expert. You need to be seen as the one in the room. You need to become the person who is energetically, people are drawn to. It doesn't mean you have to be loud and obnoxious. You could be quiet. You can be peaceful. You don't have to talk. Maybe you're more of a listener than a talker, but it's how you hold yourself. It's how you show up. And that's the element that people get attracted to. And there is an element, I was not like this the whole time. I was what I call, the most beautiful way, the average bookkeeper who wanted to sit behind their screen, push the buttons in their sweats with their hair up, and, like, that's their life. I just knew there was so much more for me. And so getting up and saying, hi, I'm Lou, at networking events, then became being the speaker at the networking event, then became speaker on podcasts and social media lives, to then speaking on stages at conferences, and now becoming like a speaker at some really big conferences that are happening in North America. And I've been speaking on stage now. This be year 15. And I remember getting my first speaking engagement, and I was asked to come down to Ohio. They were like, "We want you to come and speak." And I was like, this is like 2010. I'm like, there's no way. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do that. I'm going to stand in front of people. Like, I was like, I can't do this. I was like, well, what do you want me to speak on? Starting a business. I'm like, oh, I did that. I can speak on that. And so they knew I was new. So they gave me, I was breakout speaker. So they gave me a room with 10 chairs. And I went to go up to, and just, I'm like, I can talk to 10 people. It's a networking event, right? Like I'm at the front of the room with PowerPoint, but it's a networking event. And when I went to go in the room, they're like, Lou, we got to move you. And I said, why? They're like, look at the lineup. And the lineup for starting, owning, and growing a business, that was the name of my keynote. It was so long, they put me in the second largest room. And you know what? In that moment, I go, well, what are we going to do? Here goes nothing. I'm going to speak in front of the biggest stage, the most people I've ever spoken. And from there, something lit. And I was like, this is what I was meant to do. And then she just came out. And Lou is actually my middle name. So even with everything I've transitioned, I no longer go by my first name. I've always felt that I was a Lou or a Louise, and it's my grandmother's name. And I like to honor that. For her, because no one else that I know of in our family is named after my grandmother. And so I ended up going, okay, if I'm going to create this new person, this new persona, we'll call it an alter ego. It doesn't have to, Kobe Bryant had the Black Mamba, right? Beyonce had Sasha Fierce. Who am I going to be? Like, I want this permission slip to be all that I am. And that's when I was like, well, Lou Clarke, how cool is it if you're speaking at an event and people are like, please welcome Lou Clarke? They're probably thinking some old man. And then I walk out. That's a shift right away. Right. Mm-hmm. So it was something I've grown into. It is something I chose to adapt. And I'll tell you, I'm not near where I need to be or where I want to go, but we are definitely a lot further ahead than we were 15 years ago. But it's a choice. You have to choose. If you want success that's level 10 and you're playing level 2, you need to choose to play at the next level. You need to choose to adapt. You need to choose to unleash. I used to have a program called Unleash Your Inner Superhero. And that's basically what I did. Someone asked me the other day, Lou, what's your alter ego's name? I go, Lou Clarke. And they're like, oh. I'm like, but it is. Right? It is. And we all wear different hats. Who you are on this podcast with me is probably not the exact same person you are with your family. It's probably not the exact same person you are with your clients. We all wear different hats. My mom hat is very different than my wife hat. My wife hat's very different than my speaker hat, which is different than my client hat. And so it was just like, even my husband, he's like, I remember the first time my husband, Roger, ever really saw me speak on stage. And I came off the stage and I'm like, so what'd you think? He's like, don't bring her home. She's a lot. Don't bring her home. She's a lot. But now he knows what to expect. Like, we're all good. Like, that was like 2010.
Who am I talking to? Am I talking to Lou Clarke right now?
Yeah.
Am I talking
He's
to...
like, don't coach me, man. Don't coach me. I'm like, no, it's good. Yeah. My husband's one of my biggest mentors, but it was like, she's a lot. And like, even my kids will be like, you need to, like, I'll come home from an event, like a conference, even if I'm not speaking, I come home and I'm like on level 3000. They're like, go have a bath. Or go run. You need to run this out, Mom, because we can't do this. That's me, right? That's just me. I'm a lot of energy. I'm a lot, and I like being a lot. But I also know people who are very quiet, very reserved, but it's how they carry themselves, how they present themselves. Those shoulders, the shoulders back, the back straight, the head up. Like, you walk into a room like you own the room. You're not a guest in the room. Mm-hmm. But then you act as if the guest. But when you walk in, people go, oh, I spoke at an event at the Ivy Institute on last Friday. And I walked in the room and I'm just doused in pink and green and leather, right? That's what I wore, pink, green, and leather pants. I walk in, everybody's in black and beige. And I'm like, well, I guess they'll see me here, because nobody was wearing color. And I came as colorful as possible because that's my brand. To the point now, people go shopping in the malls or they're shopping online. When they see pink and green as a collection, they now send me pictures. Someone
Mhm.
recently sent me pictures of the Nike store. They're like, look, wow, pink and green Nikes. And they're like, that's brand, that's presence. People remember that. And
Mhm.
so there's this element of you need to create who you want to be. And it's all in integrity because it's all of who I am inside. I've just been afraid to let her out because of what people may think.
That's right. Yeah. That's beautiful. I think a really key point for our listener is that, are you being the person who can hold on to or create or live the ideal life you want to lead, and then do things that are going to move you towards that,
Yeah.
which there's lots of different things, but you went to networking events, there's Toastmasters, anything to get you out doing something new amongst other people, doing the things that you want to do. I'd love to know, like, we're running an event this year called Beyond Bookkeeping, and we're gonna be talking about a lot of the things that you've gone and discovered yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So big piece is the advisory, which is a huge opportunity in the industry, has been for a long time. People are just really starting to wake up to it and capitalize on it. How did you make the shift? What were some things that you were thinking about? And maybe tell us that story a little bit.
Sure. So my number one that I knew I had to take this on. This wasn't let's go make more money, so let's become this. It was never that. There is a movie from the early 2000s. It's called Robots. It is a cartoon. Robin Williams was one of the main characters, and I can't remember the main boss. I just remember I can see him. I have to go look it up. But the boss goes like, he gets kidnapped or something, and then all these robots have to go find the boss. It's a really good movie. Has Aunt Fanny in it. It's fun. It's got light humor. But the one thing the boss always said was, see a need, fill a need. And it's funny because a kid's movie literally changed my entire perspective on business and being an advisor, being an entrepreneur. It's like, see a need, fill the need. So this is what I saw. We'd finish the bookkeeping. We send it to the accountant. The accountant might ask a couple questions. Then they'd send back the financials and say, we met with the client, all is great. And I'm like, great, perfect, adjusting entries, put them in. I go to my client and say, how was your meeting with the accountant? They're like, well, I guess it was fine. I go, what'd they talk about with you? Well, I didn't really understand it, but I just know I owe this money, or I had a loss, or like, I'm like, so what's the payroll strategy? What's the strategy to create more sales? What's the strategy to cut expenses? Like, where are we going? They're like, oh, we didn't really talk about that. I'm like, well, what'd they tell you? They said, here is your balance sheet, blah, 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 blah. Here's your P&L, blah, 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 blah. Here's what you owe in tax, pay it by this date. I'm like, so wait, so you paid all this money for them to push buttons and then tell you blah, blah, blah? I'm like, there is a hole. There is a massive hole for majority of like businesses that have accountants. And so I remember calling up an accountant and said, did you guys walk through sales strategy, their shareholder strategy? Well, I told them they had to pay it off. I'm like, yeah, but what's the strategy? Are we bonusing? Are we putting on their payroll? Are we dividending? Like, what are we doing? Oh, well, no, we didn't talk about that. I'm like, okay, what did you talk about? And I just kept naming. They're like, yeah, we don't do that. And I'm like, well, could you do it? They're like, yeah, but we don't want to do that. And I was like, so nobody's doing this? And I'm like, see a need, fill a need. So guess what? I'm going to be the person who fills the hole between the bookkeeper and the accountant. That's literally what I went and I said, what do you need? So now we do like MMR, like monthly, like reoccurring revenue. We look at KPIs. We go through the cash flow management. We look at our, like in Profit First, we talk always about cut, reduce, keep expenses. We're doing like, what is your dream? 5 years from now, where do you want to be with your money? Where do you want to be with your business? Like, none of that's ever discussed and no plan is ever put in place. And then the other thing that makes me stand up apart from most is that I understand money energetics. Most of us accountants, bookkeepers, financial advisors are all spreadsheet people. And we want to strategize and we want to do this. But there's actually an energy of money. Money is an energetic source in our world. Number one, when you get it, you feel really good. And when it leaves, you feel very bad. That's an energy. That's an exchange. Also understanding that we can call forth energy into our world. Like even right now, you're like, I'm so pumped up, let's go. And like my energy's flowing, right? And so understanding that there's this whole other element to money that nobody talks about in the accounting, bookkeeping, like CFO realm. And so people love coming to me because they're like, you get the energetics, you get the excitement. It's not always based on spreadsheets. So I have clients who come to me and go, Lou, I want to make this like $40,000 investment. And I'm like, okay, how does that make you feel? Well, it freaks me out. Okay, why? And I start talking them through, is this the right investment or not? Not there to tell them to do it or not, but like, are you doing it because it's a fear of missing out? Are you doing it because someone promised you the world if you buy this thing right now? Remember like those TV commercials, buy this right now and you get all these bonuses. And so from that space, I was like, another thing that's missing, another see a need, fill a need, is the whole piece around the energetics of money. And nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about why your sales are down, you feel like crap. And that the fact your sales are down is probably because you're not feeling very confident in your business. So people are always saying to me like, Lou, why did your sales just skyrocket? We're gonna do over 1.5 million this year. I already have it. It's all mapped out. I got people like it's already happening. So I'm really excited to see where we go past that. But what changed is my energetics, is my confidence, is my courage, is my trust to understand that when money leaves my bank account, it's not gone forever. To also understand I don't need to hoard it. I need to give every dollar a mission. So it brings me back a return on investment in some format. And so there, I saw a hole between the bookkeeper and accountant, but I also saw a hole around the energetics. And so it was something that I decided to invest in and to learn and to understand. And some people may call it manifestation. I don't really feel it's that vibe because it's not as woohoo when we do it in such a structured way. Like when people are like, I'm about to pay off my entire credit card. I'm like, how does that make you feel? It feels restricting because I don't think I'll have any money left. Okay, that's an energetic move. Do not make it. We need you to feel grounded and regulated in your money because there's this hamster wheel of make a ton of money, pay off a credit card, have no money left, stack the credit card to make the money to pay off the credit card. Now we have no money left. We don't want that. But that's an energetic thing. People get this massive energy hit when they have a pay in full. Then they go, ooh, I made 10K. I owe 10K on my credit card. Just pay it off. And then they go, oh my God, I have no money. Like the energy is like a freaking roller coaster. That's not how we want to live. We want to live in a place where it's regulated. If we get excited, we get to come back down to a regulated atmosphere. If we get depressed or upset, we can go down but come back up. And so there's that element around money and business that a lot of people don't talk about in our industry. And so I was like, I see a hole, let me go fill it. So I would say for anybody out there, go and look at the holes that your clients have. Go look at the holes between your bookkeeping you do and the account and what the accountant does. I don't know one single accountant that does cash flow, not even on a spreadsheet. I don't understand. And it's usually because the accountants are way too busy trying to file all these tax returns.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
There's. I don't think they have to look too far to find the hole. You've outlined the biggest hole, and it's a massive gap. And there's so much opportunity to help people and to bring them through this and get them where they are excited about what they're doing again. They're focused on their business, not on all these other aspects that are not enjoyable to them. Yeah. And the difference that it'll make is remarkable. And what's exciting is that the value of what you're doing is so great that the return to you is far greater than the raw resource of doing the compliance work. Absolutely.
Absolutely. People call me their financial insurance policy. So I have clients who pay me multiple 4 figures a month. I don't ever talk to them. It's an insurance policy. It's like when something happens, I get to call Lou and she gets to help me walk through this. So it's interesting because I also find like in the bookkeeping world, they think advisory is always doing something. I call it finger dancing, is always doing something where we're building a strategy or working on something. I have clients who pay me just to have access in case they need something. That's out there. It's real. People are like, you charge for that? Yeah. And I charge really, really well for it. Because I have a client, multi-7-figure client. She is a solopreneur and she pays for, I'm going to say 24/7 access, but yet we have boundaries and understand Like if she messaged me on a Sunday, I probably won't respond unless she's like urgent. Like we have codes, so I know what kind of conversation this is. But like people just want to know someone's got their back.
Mm.
You can charge for that. You can charge for access. It's like when we talk about a bookkeeping package, right? You can get the basic, which means you don't get my phone number. You get email only, right? The middle, you can have my text message, but every call has to be scheduled. And then the bigger package is like you have instant access to me. You can call me anytime. And you're going to charge a lot more for that option. Right. And from that space, you start to learn the value you're bringing people. We need to stop charging for the work we're doing and start charging for the results we're giving and for the support that we're giving them as well.
Remarkable. I'd love to hear, there's so much there. We could go in deeper, but I'd love to know what's next for you. You've sold off or in the process of selling off your compliance bookkeeping business. You're focused on profit first and you're mentoring clients. Where are you taking this?
Where am I taking this? So, there's so much. So how I see my world now is I am a business mentor that helps you build a business that actually makes money, because most businesses aren't making money because we spend it all, right? So I have two arms. I say for those making under like $300,000, they'll come into my world to learn how to build a stronger business to make money. And then I have my other level, which is you're making money, but you don't know how to stack it. You don't know how to keep it. You don't know how to multiply it. And so those are my higher level clients that are more like the profit first CFO clients. So I'm kind of playing in the business mentorship, but mostly money mentorship game. Because what's happened was I had people coming going, Lou, I want you for money mentorship. And I'm like, okay, well, here's my price. They're like, oh, like, is that a year? I'm like, no, it's a month. And they're like, yeah, I can't do that. I'm like, what do you need? I need XYZ. Guess what? I saw a need. So I filled the need and I created coaching. I've been a coach for 15 years as well. And so if you go to my like Instagram, you're going to see very money mentorship, money conversations, energetic conversations. But I do have containers that are like low cost, low investment for those people who are coming up. Where we're going, it's like Mike Michalowicz, he's one of my favorite people in the world for what he created with Profit First. And like, he always says the goal of Profit First is to eradicate entrepreneurial poverty, because only 17% of North America's businesses have more money than month. That's a mission that I want to change one business at a time, one bank account at a time. And so there is an element of like, where we go next is really focusing on profit first and CFO while mentoring up and coming entrepreneurs to make more money. And we have different ways we're doing that. And then one of my dreams that we are slowly working on, it's hopefully this year we can tap into a bit more because time has been an issue. And now I'll have some more time on my hands, which is beautiful. I really, really have this yearning to teach families and children about money in ways that people aren't teaching it now. Like what's not being taught in school. Like my son's in a business class and I'm like, this isn't business. I'm sorry, but this is like, I don't understand what you're learning. Cause then he's like, what's a corporation, Mom? What's a sole prop? I'm like, yes, business stuff, not watching Monsters, Inc., wondering how it's an incorporation. Right. And so I want to bring this whole new level of like educating the next generations. Because a lot of people that are our age, like in the, like obviously older, but like the 50s, the 40s, the 30s, and now even some of the 20s are picking it up a little more because I think they're watching what the other generations are doing. Nobody's taught how to utilize money. No one's taught how to work with it. And that's for me. Someone said to me today, you're like a financial hygienist. And I'm like, if that works for you, okay. They're like, you clean up everybody's money stuff. And I'm like, okay, financial hygiene. I've never heard that one before, but we'll go there. So literally, I do want to, my like huge purpose and mission in life is to revolutionize the financial foundation of the small business industries in the world. That's really what I want to do. So it's big. We're going big.
That's awesome.
We're going big.
I absolutely love it. And I know you're going to do it. And it's you're already doing so much for the community, for these business owners that you work with. It's super exciting. I can't wait to
you.
learn more and to help you in your journey, however we can do that.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Yes. Lou, this has been great. I love having you, and I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more from you in the future.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, before I let you go, if people want to learn more about you, you have different options there. What's the best way for people to do that?
The best way is to do one of two things. You can go to my Instagram, which is at the Lou Clarke. Clarke is always with an E. At the Lou Clarke is where you can find me on Insta. You can DM me there. I am 100% the only person in my DMs, and it's no robotic thing. It's me, which is really good. Or you can go to the website, www.thelouclarke.com. So literally, if you type The Lou Clarke in Google, my stuff will appear. You can jump in and come say hello.
Beautiful. Well, that's great. I want to thank you for your time and your generosity, sharing your story. It's been great.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. And with that, we wrap another episode of the Successful Bookkeeper podcast. To learn more about today's wonderful guest and to get access to all sorts of valuable free business building resources, you can go to thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Until next time, goodbye.
You've been listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with Michael Palmer. For more information and to download the resources mentioned in this episode, please visit us at thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Thank you for listening.